Hello, fellas, welcome back. We're gonna continue where we left off. Okay, but if I were to ruin your lovely legs that excessively, I fear you would never recover. Then you would never be able to love me. I cannot be too hard with you. You are a lady after all, and I am no brute. I do not want to kill you. I just want to claim you, and I will do that as many times as it takes, until you no longer try to leave me. What? Once more you utter this single syllable, struck dumb from the absurdity of it all. What is your nurse talking about? What nonsense is this? You have no idea what she is talking about, but you know it's not safe to stay here with her. Not in this small enclosed room, with its walls which stink of cigarette smoke. You try to shift away from her, your body large and lumbering, but it is all in vain. Your nurse preempted your attempted escape, and she has already taken pains to prevent it. While you slept in a drug-induced stupor, your nurse was hard at work. She tied your arms to the metal headboard of your bed, tied them tightly with the length of rope tight enough to bite into your flesh once you attempt to squirm away. You cannot free yourself from your bindings, secured as you are like a pitiful insect pinned upon a board. You can only stare at her stricken. You tremble, eyes wide with fright, as you examine the glinting hammer in your nurse's hand. Don't do it, nurse. I promise to visit you every once in a while after I recover. Okay? Deal? What is to become of you now when you cannot hope to pull away from her? What does she mean to do? I already told you, your nurse answers smoothly, coming to a pause beside you. Once more she lets her cigarette fall to the floor. Once more she stamps it out beneath the heel of her boot, sentencing it to a quick, swift death. Then she presses the cold steel head of the hammer against your burning flesh, against your neck. She tips your chin upwards with the curved end of the hammer, pressing it down against your throat, and says, I am not doing anything I haven't done before. I will always be your nurse and you will always be my patient. You cannot leave the sanatorium because I shall not let you. You cannot stop being my patient if you always have a broken bone or two which needs medical attention. If you remain sick, then I will continue to have a purpose. Which means that she and I are probably the only people in this sanatorium. Which means I'm willing to bet that there are no other patients. Otherwise, why would she obsess with keeping us here? Keeping me here? Creepy. Very creepy. I can guarantee that purpose, then you need never leave me. We can always be together. Yay. You look up at your nurse with frightened animal eyes, your pulse humming beneath your soft, supple flesh. You are chilled from tip to toe with fear. It is a cold emotion, colder even than the hammer pressed beneath your chin, which chills your stomach, your intestines, even your bladder. But despite your fear, you are able to tell her you do not think this is the best way to win your affection. Why can she not be with you outside of the sanatorium? It is unlikely you would have any interest in her now, romantic or otherwise, after she has tied you to your bed and threatened to bash your bones into a fine white powder. But I cannot be with you outside of the sanatorium. I tried that once before, but it didn't work. It isn't possible. So she tried it once before? So why did we come back? So why did I come back then? What, did I get kidnapped somehow? Not possible? What does she mean? I mean what I meant the last time we had this conversation, and the time before and the time before. Your nurse says, her voice feverish, my feelings have never once wavered, not since the day I met you. I love you, Elizabeth. I have loved you ever since I laid eyes on you, but I always knew my love could never be. Ah, so that's our name. Elizabeth. Ah, so your name is Elizabeth, is it? Ezra was just a fragment then, or maybe it was a name that you preferred. The name your nurse has given you does not sound quite right. It doesn't suit you, but you can recall people addressing you with this name. Your parents and your scores of cousins and insipid little Justine. It is something to cling on to, even though you wish to reject it. something you can use to connect your present to your past. But you still know little of the nurse who looms over you, silver hammer in hand. You might remember who you are, but who is she? You were a lady, like I told you so many times. I meanwhile was nothing more than a commoner, a peasant girl from the village, who happened to see you riding your horse through the fields. I knew the moment I first locked eyes upon you that I wanted to be with you. You were the one light which illuminated my dreary world, the one person who made my dull grey days worth living. Okay, so you are lesbian. Heresy! That's gay! Haha, you gay. But though I went out of my way to match my schedule to yours, though I was always there, waiting to watch you riding your horse, you never granted me so much as a crumb of that same courtesy. You never once looked at me, you never cared about me. I knew then that you were out of my reach. I knew you would never love me, not the way that I loved you. How could you love me when you didn't even know that I existed? You were a lady and I was a commoner, so far beyond your attention that nothing I could have done or said would have elicited any response from you. I was ready to give up, but my love for you was so intense that I couldn't. To betray my love for you would be betraying myself, my very essence. I would sooner die than forget you, to cast aside my feelings, which had warmed me through many cold, lonely nights. So, your nurse continues, her voice soft but erratic, her fingers twitching around the handle of her hammer. I did something drastic. I had to catch your attention. I crept into your garden late at night when you and your parents and all your servants were abed, and then I set your fine, fancy home on fire. Fire? You stare at your nurse, your eyes wide, expression stricken. This tale is so convoluted, it sounds like something from a penny dreadful. It is hard to square this sensationalism with your own life, which was always so mundane, monotonous even. Okay. You went riding on your horse and you went swimming in the lake and you made your mother swoon when you tracked dirty footprints indoors. What is wrong with you, Eliza? Your mother would scold you. You were Eliza? You were Eliza to your long-suffering parents, Miss Elizabeth to the servants, and Ezra only ever inside your head. Why do you always do this? I've told you enough times. Why are you so selfish, Eliza? Why do you never think for anybody else? Yes, you are sure that your mother called you that. She said you were selfish and maybe you really were. You ignored your nurse, though she was not always a nurse. Once she was an ordinary girl from the countryside, sweet perhaps, and unassuming as she yearned for you from afar. Like Eve, she found herself drawn to the forbidden fruit, until enticed by the whispers of the snake in the tall grass, she chose to commit an awful crime. She set your house on fire. It sounds melodramatic, quite frankly ridiculous even, and yet you think you can remember that now. Your memory has been hopelessly jumbled as of late like the contents of an old attic, but you can recall the crackling of wood, the smell of smoke. Tongues of flame licked at your bedroom's walls, torching your bedposts, turning the once pastel wallpaper a dark, peeling black. Your old things were all melted, all of your clothes and the old diaries you used to write in, and the tin soldiers you played with as a child. Your windows warped from the heat, then shattered, spewing glass all across your carpet. You can remember it all now in painful detail, the searing heat and the smoke in your eyes which made them water. The flames might have been alarming, but it was the smoke which really made you panic. You knew it was the smoke which would kill you in the end. You were sure that you would be killed too as you stumbled clumsily from your burning bedchamber which was singed and charged like a scene from hell. Part of you had already forfeited your life to the flames, but you have always been stubborn. That is the familiar refrain uttered by all who have known you, and you did your best to endure. You kept limping through the ruins of your once beautiful home, putting one foot in front of the other, and then a lot of people died in the fire. Your parents and all the servants, your old grandmother too, and her servants who tended her. They all passed away, but you didn't. You tried to get away from the blaze and you came very close to succeeding too. You were able to get all the way down the stairs into the entrance hall when you were incapacitated. Incapacitated? You remember rather a lot from that fateful night now, the smell of smoke being chief among them, of course. But you cannot remember how you actually left the house, or even if you left the house at all. You thought the sanatorium strange with its singed and warped walls, the perpetual smell of smoke hanging in the air. But what if a wooden beam fell from the ceiling? Your nurse continues. It was dislodged from the flames. It must have damaged the structural integrity of the house and it landed on top of you. So I saw that wooden beam slice through the air and saw how it hit you. It caught your right leg and it crushed it. You were knocked to the ground immobile, all of the breath driven from you. I think you passed out from the pain. I knew there was no way you could shift the wooden beam yourself, so I came to your aid. I was able to move the wooden beam from your unconscious body, though it took no shortage of effort. I burned my hands in the process, and I inhaled far too much smoke. I fear it might have caused my throat permanent injury. Burn your hands, I see. No wonder you're wearing gloves. Okay, I understand now. Is that also why you choose to light cigarette? To, I don't know, you might have, I think she developed an addiction for smoke. For the smell of smoke from that. But that seemed a small price to pay for your safety. I was able to rescue you. I dragged you out of the house before it could collapse upon the both of us. And yes, I saved your life. If it were not for me, you would have been burned to a crisp, just like your parents, just like your servants. They're all gone now. Your nurse looks at you archly, her eyes very red, two rubies set inside her skull. She observes you coolly, cruelly as she says, and you have nobody in the world you can rely on except me. There is nobody in the world who knows who you are or where you are but me. I'm the only person that you can gaze upon. I'm the only person who cares about you. I am the only person who can decide who you are, what you must be. I saved your life, which means you are now my property. Your mother died, so I suppose I am the next best thing. Like her, I have been sustaining your life. You would be dead without me, which means you are mine. And now we have this house and what remains of it, all to ourselves. Everybody believes that you died in the blaze, so nobody will come looking for you. Nobody is gonna trouble themselves over a corpse. So I can spend as much time with you as I desire. I can help you and I can heal you. And when you finally begin to recover, I can shatter your hopes all over again. You cannot leave me, you know, your nurse says, her eyes crinkling in the corners. I have made sure of that. There is nowhere, after all, for you to run to. There is nowhere for you to go. You are at home already, Elizabeth, in a lovely home I made for the two of us. There is no need to ever leave. Nobody will ever love you as much as I do. Ah, so that's it. You had already had some suspicions, but your nurse's words cinch it. The home that you were dreaming of, the aristocratic home with the red brick walls fringed with acres of verdant green garden, doesn't exist. Not anymore. It has been burned to the ground, reduced to ashes and rubble. Your nurse, who is not really a nurse, razed your past to the ground. Then she tried to build your present upon its carcass. The sanatorium is no sanatorium. It is what remains of your old home, burned and withered and wasted. Oh, okay. I thought she just kind of, brought us to an abandoned building and just settled there. Wait. She said that the whole house burned down. That even the ceiling was crashing down. How the hell is the building still standing then? Like, how is there even a roof? Okay. You have no home to return to. You have no family. You only have the nurse, and it sounds as if you have been relying on her for a very long time. Is that true? Yes, I suppose it is. We have been here for, I don't know, perhaps a year now. It is hard for me to say. Time does not seem to pass as it should. Not that I have any need to observe the minutes as they go by. I already have what I want. There is nothing more I desire, so I have no need to think upon tomorrow. I need only today, an endless string of them. And to secure these endless todays, does she insist upon saving you over and over again? That's right, I knew you would understand. It's ingenious, isn't it? Says your nurse. And though you cannot see her mouth, you're sure she is smiling. You awake and I tend to you, and you recover. Then I break your poor legs anew and stuff you full of valerian, and you forget everything. You awake again with no memories of who you are and where you came from. And then the process begins anew. Indeed, it continues like this and on, perpetuating itself like an Ouroboros. You know what that is, don't you? The snake, you asked the nurse tiredly, who eats its own tail? That's exactly what I mean, good girl. Your nurse says, her voice soft and low. The snake will continue to eat its tail, for it has no choice. These things will keep on going over and over for all eternity. Like an infinite snake, my love for you is boundless. It will never ever cease. I have yet to tire of forcing my love upon you, my dear Elizabeth. Ha ha ha, she has definitely done strange things to our body while we are out, while we are unconscious. I can, just from that forcing my love upon you comment, I knew that she's done strange things to our body while we are asleep. 100%. Ha ha ha, you dirty bee. So your nurse says, her eyes hardening, I will never let you leave. I can't. That is how much I love you. Your nurse readjusts her grip upon the handle of her hammer as she speaks, her bony fingers about it tightening. She takes a step forward and the floorboards creak beneath her in pain protest. It sounds as though they are crying out in anguish. Perhaps they have seen too much, but your nurse does not slow down. Her fingers grip the handle of her hammer all the more tightly. She raises it. I apologize, Elizabeth. I don't want to hurt you, you know. It is just I love you so much I can't help myself, though I wouldn't expect you to understand. As a lady, I doubt you have ever wanted anything you couldn't have this much before. You have never been driven to madness. But who knows, maybe if we repeat this cycle enough, that will change. Maybe I'll finally be able to impress my feelings upon you and you will finally understand. I just hope they don't warp you too much, my beloved Elizabeth. Then she brings the hammer down, and the head of the hammer, hard and immovable, a silver which glistens in the moon's light, strikes your right leg, which has only just begun to heal. It strikes you hard like lightning, without a moment's pause, without a moment's mercy. Pain flares up inside your leg, a pain so sharp and intense like broken glass that you scream from it. You scream until your vocal cords threaten to tear, until they threaten to warp and distort, just like those of the nurse. It hurts. You knew it would hurt, but it hurts more than you had ever imagined, and your imagination have always been exceptionally good for a young woman. So that is one thing your nurse was mistaken about. She claimed that as a lady that you had never wanted for anything, that you had never known what it was like to yearn for something so intensely it split you apart. But she's wrong. You had never wanted to be born as a woman. You were sick of it actually. The femininity forced it onto you. Jesus. Femininity. It's so hard to I got trouble pronouncing that. Stuffed into your mouth with such a cloying sweetness you feared you would choke on it. You railed against all the fancy dresses, the fancy hairstyles, the future of being wedded to a man you did not care for. You would far rather go hunting or you go riding or hunting or swimming or climbing. You had always wanted to shape your own future, to be the master of your own destiny. You do not want to be a lady, and you most definitely do not want to be a victim. You do not want to be an eternal patient confined to a bed with broken limbs which refuse to move. If the nurse knew anything about you as she claims to, she would know that you do not want this, have never wanted this. She would know not to call you Elizabeth, Eliza, Eliza. Both names are ill-fitting, like a pair of trousers too short in the ankle. This is not who you are. That is not how you regard yourself. But you are incapable of telling your nurse this, your savior and your tormentor both. You cannot speak for the pain, it hurts too much. You feel your delicate bones broken so many times, breaking once more beneath the blow of the nurse's hammer. Her love is so intense you can feel it reshaping your body, reforming it. First, she loved you as a lady. Now she loves you as her patient. She loves you only when she can force you into the mold that she desires. Her love is not as intense and all-encompassing as she might claim. It is highly conditional, but aren't all things in life? Your nurse would not be the only one ignorant of her own true motives. She does not understand your heart, and now nobody ever will. You are doomed to be your nurse's plaything from now until the ends of eternity, until your body eventually gives up from the strain of it all and you pass away. Perhaps you are beginning to hit your limits already. You succumb bit by bit to your own inevitable end, to the inevitability not perhaps of the grave, not just yet at least, but to another cycle of abuse you haven't the strength to endure. But no, this is not a past you wish to recall. This is not a past you wish to reclaim. Did you not see any other paths available to you as you drifted? Any other lives which might conclude in a more satisfactory manner? Why don't you reach out and see quickly now while you still can? Why don't you see who else you might have been and what else you might become? Okay, so that's the end. We get broken by hammer. Okay, this one then. Oh, you continue to drift in the darkness. It submerges you like tar, like oil. So that right there is the nurse arc. Now let's see what is this. Maid arc, I assume. There's something oddly reassuring about the darkness, something soothing. Dee, milady. But you hear a voice calling out to you through the veil of blackness which surrounds you. Something which stirs memories deep within you. You recognize that voice. You are sure you know them, though you can't put a name or a face to them, not just yet at least. Dee, excuse me, milady. And this realization is like a flickering candle, one which soon turns into a burning beacon. You might not remember who you are, but perhaps this person will. Perhaps they can give you a name and identity to latch onto, and in so doing, they can save you from the darkness. Milady, it's time to wake up. You suddenly realize like the darkness very much. It no longer feels as reassuring as it did. It has ceased to be a comforting cradle song, and instead has become something stiflingly oppressive. You fight against it, your eyes wide, frightened like a startled pony's, and then the light which rushes forward to meet you is sharp and spiky. It lacerates your eyes, penetrating them like pins. Your head spins. For a few moments you feel sick. Your whole body aches. Oh, milady, my poor dear lady, are you still feeling ill? But you feel a hand upon the small of your back, massaging you through the fabric of your nightgown. It is a broad white palm, flat and reassuring, and fills you with warmth. You exhale, trying to gather your bearings. Slowly you breathe in, and just as slowly you breathe out. You blink, disturbing the gauzy white spots which have begun to drift, jellyfish-like across your vision. Then you glance about. You felt dazed and disoriented upon your waking, but now you have awoken from your deep, dreamless sleep. Something like familiarity begins to settle upon you. You're sitting in a grand four-poster bed, one with a pale blue sheets and pale blue drapes. Your bed is piled high with soft plush pillows, and your favorite bear is sitting beside you, a large, furry creature you call Percy. That's right, you remember Percy, and you remember this room too. You remember the cream walls, the landscapes in their gilt frames, your vanity table with the circular mirror and the little perfume bottles arranged upon the counter, and your favorite white brim sun hat with the length of satin ribbon tied about it. You remember where you are, and perhaps more importantly, you remember who you are. You are a young lady of some renown whose family possess a considerable fortune. Well, of course you are a young lady. There is nothing else you could be, really, awaking in a fine room like this. You are a lady, not quite a princess, but definitely not a pauper. And the woman sitting beside you... Are you alright, milady? Is your head still causing you pain? I am here. You know, if you need me for anything, and I have brought your breakfast up, too. Perhaps that might help. She's your maid. Yeah, duh. From the costume, sure. She's our maid. Hello, maid. Her hair is dark, and it is tied back in a sensible braid. Her eyes, meanwhile, are dark, large, and liquid, and lined with long, doll-like lashes. A small smile plays about your maid's face, almost motherly, as she says, "Would you care for a cup of tea?" You blink, still a little groggy. You have come to your senses, more or less. What in the world were you dreaming about? You can't quite remember, but you are sure it was disturbing. But you still feel somewhat disoriented. You know your mate as well as you know the backs of your own hands, your ashen face which reflects back at you in your mirror. You have been close for many years, ever since you were children. She has been working here from the tender age of 12, when she first started as a scullery maid. You are 4 years your maid's junior, and you can recall coming across her in the corridors when you were a little girl, catching her eye in the garden, while she was engaged in hanging up the laundry, so she began to giggle. You liked the look of your maid, with her brown hair and her bright, easy smile to you, and you knew from the first that you wanted her. You wanted to make her yours, and so you did. When you were a little older, old enough to require a lady's maid rather than a nurse, you asked your parents if they would let you make your maid officially yours. You had never asked your parents for anything before, and they had drummed it into your head that you had to be a good girl, demure and mealy-mouthed, and virtuous. They told you not to want things, not in a deep emotional sense at least. Ladies can be as selfish and avaricious and capricious as they please. That is 2 words that I do not know, that I've never seen before. They can lust after beautiful dresses and beautiful jewels, and finely furnish homes. But other people? That is one thing ladies cannot desire. Ladies cannot be seen to yearn. To yearn is to be weak, and your parents have always been so strong, so self-sure. You fear that your parents would castigate you for wanting the maid so, for wanting to make her yours. But to your surprise, your parents did not scold you for your impetuous request. You thought that your desire would be obvious, stamped across your face, but your parents did not seem to see it that way. They, with their dark, unfeeling eyes, did not see your maid as being so very dissimilar from a beautiful dress, or from a beautiful brooch. They thought of her not as her own person, but as an object, something which could be bartered and traded. They did not imagine that you asked for your maid's exclusive attention because you yearned for her, but because you simply selfishly wanted her, which are two very different things. Your parents could not fathom how much you cared for your maid, how much you care for her still. Now she's your everything. She's not just your lady's maid, though that is her official title. She is your best friend, your closest confidant, the one you love more than anybody in the world. Yay! So she's my husband or wife. She's my wife. Yes, sir. My wife, definitely. She cooks for me and wakes me up in the morning. 100. Either she's my wife or my mother. Stepmother. It would not be an exaggeration to say that you adore her. You love her as intimately as it is possible for a woman to love another woman. Perhaps even more intimately than is thought strictly possible. Did we buy her a ring at least? Did we buy her a ring then? You might be the lady, she your maid, but sometimes... Milady, are you alright? Sometimes when you look at her, you wonder whether she is not the one holding all the cards after all. Did she catch your eye on purpose all those years ago so that you might pick her out from the rest, so that you would elevate her from her position as a mere scullery maid? Was this all pre-planned? Have you been dancing all of this time in the palm of her hand? There are many things that you wonder, your past distorting like a kaleidoscope, but are you still feverish? Your face does look rather flushed. Perhaps you aren't in the mood for tea right now? No, but I'm in the mood of some milk. Some really good milk. Specifically human milk. Time to undress. Let's get some milk instead. But no, you tell yourself firmly that you are being silly. You are certain that your maid has no ulterior motives. And even if she does, why does it matter? It doesn't change how much you care for her, and it does not change that she remains your only ally. She is the only one in this miserable pile you call a home who smiles at you. She is your dearest friend, and you do not want to make her worry. She has done nothing to deserve it. You smile at your maid and tell her that you had a bad dream. You do not feel like yourself, but a nice cup of tea might help. No! Get a nice cup of human milk. Yes. Since you love her intimately, she would have no problem with it. But of course, I've already prepared the tea for you, milady. I think it ought to have cooled down plenty, but just in case. Your maid plucks a delicate teacup from its saucer, which was resting on a tray, then brings it to her lips. Softly she blows upon it, the meniscus of the tea rippling from her warm breath. There is something sensual about the way she blows your tea, something which makes your stomach flutter. Should I ask for her milk instead then? You dumbass, why ask for tea? But the moment soon passes. Your maid hands your cup of tea to you with a light and tilting. Careful now, it's cooled a little, but it's still hot enough. I wouldn't want you scalding yourself. You thank your maid for her thoughtfulness and bring the teacup to your lips. You do not need to blow upon the tea within yourself, not when your maid has completed this ritual on your behalf. The tea is not hot in any case. It is slightly warmer than lukewarm, but holding the teacup does not make your fingers tingle. You look at your undulating reflection within the brown tea for a few moments. Your lips burst, and then under your maid's watchful gaze, you begin to sip. You let the taste of your tea unfurl across your tongue, just like the petals of a flower. The tea is somewhat bitter, but you have heard this is for your own good. Your maid has been buying herbal teas from Dr. Godwin, which are supposed to fortify you, to give you strength. Dr. Godwin is your physician, and you have seen her a few times since you fell ill. You are surprised your parents are willing to put their faith in a lady doctor, given how awfully old-fashioned they are. But Dr. Godwin has a sterling reputation. She does come highly recommended, but not even she has been able to aid you. You like to think that these herbs your maid has been mixing into your tea are helping in some small way though. But even if they aren't, you cannot fault your maid for trying to help you. Your maid has always been your most loyal ally. If you cannot trust her, you cannot trust anybody. You sip at your tea demurely, both your hands pressed about the cup while your maid smiles at you. Her smile is soft and tender, so much so you could melt from it. Your maid's smile mixes, or at least seems to, with the sun's light as it spills in through your windows, and with the warm tea sloshing about inside your cup in such a way that you feel fortified. Sometimes you think that you will live on only for quiet, understated moments like these, those spent with you and your maid. There is nobody else who make you feel like she does, nobody in the world. She's the only one who makes you happy, and you know that you love her more than you have ever and will ever love anybody else. Outside, you can hear the birds chirping, the leaves whispering secrets to one another as they shift in the breeze. It is a beautiful morning, and it promises to sag into an even more beautiful day. I have no idea how to pronounce that word. Segui, sag. Don't know? Somebody tell me. Would you would rise from your bed to greet it, standing by your open window as the breeze plays through your hair. Your wish to throw these covers off yourself, which lay atop you like a stifling prison, then across your bedroom. You have always been a delicate girl with a dainty build, yet you should be able to manage walking a handful of steps. It should not be any great ordeal, and yet... You poor thing, your maid says in a gentle voice which makes you feel small and insignificant, like some sort of pet. You still can't move, can you? Your maid is right about that. For the last fortnight, you have been assailed by a most curious illness. The illness never leaves you feeling weak and lethargic, so much so you struggle to simply sit up in bed. You have always relied upon your maid to aid you, and you have been relying on her more than ever recently after this illness has more or less incapacitated you. You find it hard to do much more than breathe, but at least your maid is sympathetic to your plight. She tuts, then says, I know you have not been feeling well lately, but it's alright. I'm here for you, milady, and I'm not gonna go anywhere, I promise. You can rely on me. It's my job to look after you, and I meant to do that to the last until the bitter end. That is probably what she means to say. Is your illness so advanced that she can see the Reaper looming over you, scythe drawn? But she evidently decides this is too grim a topic to discuss, not this early in the morning. Your maid forces a smile instead, then says, well, never mind that. I'll be here like I said, so try not to fuss. You've no need to be lonely. Now, shall I help you dress? You know you mightn't be able to move far from your bedroom, but that's no excuse for slovenliness. Let's get you looking presentable. As your maid, it's my job to care for you. Oh, your maid exclaims, as if this has only just occurred to her. And I need to brush your hair too. It's so lovely and long. It would be a shame to leave it so tangled. I don't know what you were dreaming of last night, my lady. Were you being stalked through the woods by some sort of monster? But you really were writhing a lot. You rucked up your covers and your hair is an awful mess. You let your maid guide you to your bedroom, or to be more precise, you lean on your maid as she hauls you to your wardrobe. You are not so very weak that you cannot stand on your own 2 feet, but you are weak enough that you cannot stand on your own 2 feet for long before toppling. You find it hard too to walk. You can only manage to shuffle, dragging your bare heels along your floor, but your maid seems pleased with your pitiful progress nonetheless. Very good, milady. You're doing much better than yesterday. Does your maid really think that? You do not feel any better. If anything, you feel even worse. Oh yes, I'm sure of it. You're definitely on the mend. I can see it in your face. Your cheeks are starting to get their apples again, and you no longer look so pained. Cheeks getting apples? What that mean? Cheeks becoming red? We need only wait a little longer, and I am sure you'll be back to your usual self once more. Then you can leave your wretched bedroom, and you might be able to take a turn in the garden once more. Doesn't that sound nice? Your maid keeps up a steady series of chatter as she strips you of your nightgown and dresses you anew, attiring you in a rich green gown the color of grass and apples. Newly attired, your maid then steers you to your vanity, where she might brush out your hair, slowly and methodically removing all the knots which snarl and snare against the brush's bristles. You sit there demurely, feeling rather like an oversized doll, a bloodless being made of porcelain. Ever since your sickness, your maid has been treating you like something to be corseted? Cassetted? A beautiful object of peerless value that is at risk of losing its worth with every bump or bruise. She treats you incredibly gently, but part of you wonder whether she is not being too gentle. Is she being too differential? You feel the gulf in your social statuses more keenly than ever when she fusses over you like this. When she fastens your buttons and ties your ribbons and runs that brush through your hair. You almost wish that she would not bother so much, that she did not care so much. But if your maid did not care, who would be left to worry about you? Your parents have not been able to see you since you fell ill. They seem not to care tuppence about you, but your marriage negotiations are continuing unimpeded as if nothing has occurred. Your maid tells you as much as she brushes your hair, pausing to tease out a particularly stubborn knot near the right side of his scalp. You feel the bristles of the brush against the top of your ear and you shudder from it. The maid seems not to notice as you tremble. She is too entrenched in her tale. She clicks her tongue and then says, I can hardly believe your parents did not send Lord Worthing home already. He has been here for well over a fortnight, and for what cause? You are sick. I thought your parents might send that odious lord home for at least a brief spell, so that you might recuperate, but I suppose that will be asking for too much. They refuse to give you any peace, you poor thing. While you languish up here in your bedroom, they are still talking of your dowry. Your mother just can't help herself, and neither can Lord Worthing. They might fancy themselves as being elegant and refined, but I see nothing to commend in them myself. They wear their fine suits and fancy dresses, and they spray themselves in lavish perfumes. But all of this artifice cannot hope to disguise what they truly are. They are nothing. Haha, Lord Worthing, Lord Nothing. Haha, I see it now. Lord Worthing is nothing. He is Lord Nothing. Your maid continues, her grip tightening about the handle of your hairbrush. More than beasts. Beasts, you ask, and then you wince. Your maid is digging the brush through your hair with no small amount of force, and it is starting to hurt. What does she mean by that? Well, what else am I to call them? They are trying to divide you up, my lady, into pieces. They sink their teeth into you, and they rip and they gouge, and they mean to tear you asunder. Your mother is the worst offender. She's been determined to marry you off ever since you were a baby. But your father isn't much better. When they look at you, they don't see their own flesh and blood, a daughter they must protect, whom they have a duty of care towards. Instead, they see you as a bartering piece. They want to distribute you like an asset. Oops, did I... Oh, thank God, I thought I accidentally quit. Says, sell you off to the highest bidder so that they might increase their own social standings. They don't care about you, your maid continues, her voice tightly controlled, perhaps self-consciously so. You can see your maid's face reflected back at you in the dresser, inverted, so it looks subtly wrong, not quite right. Your maid's eyes flash like fire and brimstone while her jaw is tightly set. She is gritting her teeth together so hard you wonder whether the enamel will splinter. It seems worryingly apparent that if she allows her temper to consume her, she will do herself harm. In that moment, you care not about the pain in your scalp, nor how harshly your maid is dragging the comb through your curls. All you care about is your maid. You love her and you know that she loves you. But it is because she loves you that her temper flares like this, always hidden behind closed doors. So your parents will never see it. Your parents will never know, must never know how excessive your maid's passions are, how intense her longings. If your parents knew what your maid said about them, they would dismiss her without a second thought. They would throw her onto the street by her ear, heedless of the years of her life that she has given to you, heedless of how much she has sacrificed for you. They would not care, you know they would not care. Your maid might be too passionate, with feelings which blaze behind her eyes, like all the fires of hell, but your parents are uncomfortably cold by contrast. Behind your eyes, you can detect no feeling at all, no emotion, save for avarice. You wish your maid would not worry so for your sake. You fear that she is making herself ill, that she will rant and rave herself into an early grave. Yet you have the uncomfortable sensation as she tries to compose herself that she is right. Your parents really are unfeeling, and so is Lord Worthing. Thinking of him is enough to make you tremble. You wish you were not expected to wed, and if that is non-negotiable, that you were not expected to wed him. You wish for so much, closeted away in your pastel bed chamber, which smells of rose water. But for all of your wishing, there is precious little you can do. The world is very large and you are very small. Sometimes you think you have even less value than your maid, for at least she is paid for her services. Not well, of course, but she receives money. But what about you, however? You will not get paid when you wed Lord Worthing. Not directly, at least. Your parents are the ones who will profit from you, just as your maid said, as if they were selling a sow at a market. Is that how your parents see you? Is that how Lord Worthing sees you? Are you really nothing more than an asset to be sold? Oh, if only you were not so young and unworldly. But these wishes are pointless, just like your prayers. You dare not speak of them, not even to your maid, who tells you everything about herself, and so they die. Unspoken, your wishes turn to ashes inside your heart, that cardiac muscle which seems over the years to have calcified. You wish that everything would not hurt so much. You wish... Oh, milady, I apologize for speaking so harshly. I never did mean to upset you. You wish from time to time that the world would stop turning. God, this visual novel is damn long. How much more? Like, is each part this long? Jeez. You wish that life was not so complicated and that you could pass your time freely with your maid. She is the only one in the world who understands you, the only person who cares too. You never do speak of your wishes aloud, you have always thought it best not to. You have always worried it would be unladylike, but when you are with your mate, it doesn't matter. She understands how you feel even if you do not express these feelings in words. But sometimes you think she might understand you better than you understand yourself. She sets the guilt brush down with a dull thud. Did she realize that she was inadvertently causing you pain? Then leans in. She opens her arms, unfurling them like a raven might its dark feathered wings. Then, shifting towards you, she pulls you to her, twining her arms about your middle like a shroud. And this is where I stop. Oh god, it's been 45 minutes. My throat is getting tired and dry. Like if you can't tell, I'm pausing more than often because, throat's getting hurt. Right, I'll see you guys in the next part of us talking with the mate. Until then, thanks for watching. Please do like, share, and subscribe